All right, it's Brent Conley. Thanks for coming back to my channel. I hope I'm delivering massive value to you and your business. All right, so if you're a real estate agent in the sales business, or you're a team leader, brokerage owner, or manager, let's talk a little bit about the end of the year and what you should be doing, what you should be focused on, and how to lead yourself and others through between now and the end of the year and into 2025. All right, my name is Brent Conley. I am a real estate agent for over 22 years. I've built companies, I've sold companies and brokerages. I currently am at a international company and leading agents, more than 1,650 agents in my organization, along with teams in California and in Arizona. Right now we are starting to pick up. It's pretty exciting. So now that the election concerns are all over and all the fear and scarcity is gone, there's probably still some out there, but I'm going to ignore all that nonsense. We are moving forward towards 2025, and I'm here to help get you ready and excited about the future, your future. And your future includes success, right? So you're at the right channel for that. Okay, number one, you all are writing goals, I'm assuming, and you have achieved most of your goals this year, and potentially you haven't achieved some of them. And for a lot of you, you guys possibly didn't write any goals down, and that's what is probably holding you back. There's nothing for you to focus on when you do that, and you're going to get lost in complacency. And I would suggest taking a moment and writing down some goals. Number one, write down some personal goals. Write down your business goals, write down your family goals, write down your vacation goals of all the things that you're wanting to accomplish between now and let's say the first part of January 15th, okay? And that's gonna be one set. The second set is you've got to start writing down your goals for 2025 if you haven't done so already. Now, there's over 4 million homes selling in the US, and I don't know how many in Canada, but I'm sure you guys can tell me on my channel. But there's over 4 million homes that are selling in the US. And so that gives you plenty of opportunity to achieve anything that you want in this business, whether you're a real estate agent, a team leader, brokerage owner, or manager. All right, so I want you to be very, very specific on your personal goals at this point. If you set them, let's say you want to make an additional $50,000 or $100,000 between now and December 31st. Okay, so let's dissect that. What do you need to sell in order for that to happen? Not all the stuff that you have in escrow right now, not any of that, not the stuff that you closed today. What do you need to sell? Whether you need to get a new listing, whether you need to do a price reduction on your current listings, or put a buyer in escrow and close before the end of the year. What needs to happen? Let's give you some clarity on that, right? Because that's number one. That's the closest thing to accomplishing some of those goals that you set forth. So your personal goals, and potentially that's your financial goals, right? Maybe it is, hey, I have a personal goal to take 2 weeks vacation. Well, then time's a ticking. We need to get some intention set on not wasting time in order for that to happen. All right. Also, set your personal goals for next year, what you're wanting to do. And maybe if there's a challenge out there, you want to run a marathon, you want to lose X amount of pounds, you want to learn something new, write down those personal goals that you have to set right now, and go ahead and set them. Maybe you want to make, $500,000 next year. Maybe it's $1 million next year. All right, next, I want you to write down, I need to develop a realistic, workable business plan. Now, a lot of people don't do business plans. I'm hit and miss on business plans. I'm going to put a general business plan together of saying, hey, I'm going to work 260 days a year. I'm going to prospect from this time to this time, 5 days a week. I'm going to make follow-up phone calls from this time to this time. I'm going to make a bare minimum of 15 follow-up calls, and that's going to set the tone, set the basis of that business plan. And I'm going to navigate through all the challenges in business. But at a bare minimum, I want you to write that down. How many phone calls a day that you're going to make, how many follow-up phone calls that you're going to make per day, and how many days you're going to work next year. At a bare minimum, put that down. Okay. Next thing, I want your daily schedule to be designed for productivity. That's outbound phone calls. That is outbound door knocking. That is outbound communication of some sort. Maybe you're using social media. Maybe you're sending messages, private messages and DMs through social media in order to talk to people about buying or selling real estate. That is so imperative for the average agent out there and the above average agents out there, that you've got to control the time. You got to control how many people that you're going to talk to. If you don't control that, you're not going to talk to as many people. If you don't set that intention, you're not going to talk to that many people. You need to focus on taking listings. And that is so important, more than ever, with all the NAR stuff and people negotiating buyer contracts. I do believe that you can make more money representing buyers. You can rate 3.25% or something, but it's harder work. It takes double the time. It takes an average of 38 hours versus like 19 hours representing a seller. So think about that. How do I get more listings? And if I'm going to spend my time and on my workable, realistic business plan, I need 80% of that business plan, 80% of it designed for listings, 80% of the productivity in my daily schedule designed for taking listings and talking to people. So write that down. The biggest distraction most people have right now is social media. That's the biggest distraction. In your daily intention, I want you to limit social media. I want you to be promoting your business out there. I want you marketing your business. I want you using the DMs to talk to people about buying and selling real estate. And then I do not want you to consume as much content as you've been consuming in 2024. And I'm assuming that most of you guys are consuming a tremendous amount of content. So if you're on this channel, it's all about work and business and making money. You're probably fine there. But if you're more than an hour a week on my channel, you need to get the hell off my channel and go back to work prospecting for business. All right, if we're gonna accomplish your goals. All right. So I want you to think about that real quick. The biggest distractions in your life right now are social media. What is everybody else doing? Who cares what everybody else is doing? At the end of the day, is it going to impact your pocketbook? Is it going to impact your bank account? And if it's not, you've got to limit that. All right, so think about that. All right, the next thing, I think that most real estate agents right now are out of practice with having meaningful conversations with sellers and with buyers, right? And plain and simple, to be honest with you, most of them they're not doing their job. They're hoping that people are going to call them. They're not being outbound salespeople. They're not making the effort on a daily basis to control the conversations. And most people are too busy in their lives to think about you, to think about calling you, to say hi, to say, hey, how's your business? How's your real estate business? How's the market? They're not thinking about that unless they're in the market. Unless potentially you have a really deep, solid connection with maybe 10, 15, 20 people out there. And past that, they're still not thinking about you. Hello, you have to wake up about this. You have to control the outbound conversations with people. And if you're out of practice with that and you're not making enough phone calls, then I would highly suggest setting up a role play partner or two and proactively practicing those scripts and dialogues. And I don't have any scripts and dialogues to share with you. I do write them for a couple coaches in the industry, and I've done that, but I don't have all of my own. I think all the other ones all came from Mike Ferry years ago, and they all developed them, Maps Coaching and Glover U and Krista Mayshore and all these other coaching companies, Club Wealth and all these other coaching companies pretty much took them from Mike Ferry and developed their own. And this is my opinion, of course, but all of them work. So you guys can pick one, make it your own so it doesn't feel weird. That's really imperative. Make it your own, internalize it so it doesn't feel weird. It's so important, especially if you're out of practice right now. All right, so I want you to practice specific objections, right, on pricing. Really, really important right now. I want you to practice price reductions, right? So if you're gonna take on a role play partner, let's have the price conversation, and let's role play. Hey, I think you should list your property at $500,000. Well, we were kind of thinking about $550,000. Oh, okay, I can see where you're coming up with that. But may I show you these 15 properties that expired in the neighborhood at $550,000? And the competition's all listed from $525,000 to $550,000 with 150 days on market, and nothing is pending in the neighborhood. So wouldn't you agree that my pricing strategy would beat everybody on the marketplace and would not even put us in a negative position like the 15 properties that expired at $550,000? Think about that, okay? How are you presenting it? How are you role playing? Now with strong language, and my driver personality is coming out with it. But if you role play that, you can deliver it a lot softer. And I would suggest you deliver it a lot softer. But you need to be powerful, you need to be strong, and notice the voice inflections with that. So think about that. Most of your time, and we said this earlier, needs to be prospecting, number one, and lead follow-up, number two. Outbound conversations and following up on potential leads. I'm on the phone with somebody yesterday that called me. It was one of my commercial agents years ago. Called me, hey, just checking in, catching up. I think my son's going to buy a house. Now, he's not in a residential space, great commercial agent, but he's actually focused on buying multifamily assets. He didn't want anything to do with residential real estate. So he's like, my son's probably going to buy and sell his property in Chandler, Arizona. Will you reach out to him? Here's the neighborhood that he likes. So he did all the homework for me, right? But I'm in relationship. I'm in rapport with him. He knows who to call because I've called him in the recent past, right? And so I'm planting those seeds. I'm controlling the conversations. And yes, those phone calls do come in. We had another one that was an internet lead from a friend of mine in Cleveland, Ohio. And there was 500 people that responded to the inquiry on social media. I knew the gentleman because I met him at a conference, and I said, hey, remember me? I got the lead. It was an internet lead. It wasn't really a referral, but we're working it. We've met with him one time already, a $900,000 listing. And on Thursday, we're meeting with this gentleman again, and we're going to get that listing. He's going to want to buy $1 million property after we sell that house. So think about controlling the conversations. Now, I emailed this guy probably 15 different times because I couldn't get him on the phone. So some of that stuff happens, but we have to be aggressive in our lead follow-up in order to not only gather those opportunities, but to make them become a reality piece of business in our business. And we probably have 20 different conversations, that's where we're at right now. We don't have the listing agreement signed. So 20 conversations, and potentially we'll have the listing signed this week. And I'll let you guys know when that's successful. All right. So what I wrote down here, you've got to have the discipline to role play and practice every single day. Have these conversations prior to getting on the phone. It's basically practice, right? When I was coaching football for my son, Pop Warner, I coached for 8 years. We practiced like 4 or 5 days a week prior to the game. And it was the drill after drill, same drill, after drill, in order to get good. It was a script. It was a role play. It was practice. And then we could perform in the game. So that's, practice matters. Practice and even the championship games matter. It's not a guaranteed win. You've got to earn it every step of the way. So think about that as you're navigating your real estate business and trying to make $500,000 or $1 million a year. You've got to become the professional and think about, are your actions amateur or are they professional? Think about that. All right, so practicing often, strong lead follow-up. I wrote that down here. You know what? I got off on my Pop Warner thing, but I also wrote down the difference between the pros and the amateurs is the pros are scripted, okay? They're scripted in every conversation, and they're not caught off guard, right? So if you're running an offensive play, you're practicing that play over and over again to get it correct, right? And then there's always things that come up, but you know how to navigate through them or make the blocks in order to get that play pass through. So think about that. They're not caught off guard very often. They know that the other team is coming towards them, right? So we know there's challenges coming towards us as real estate professionals, and we're not caught off guard because we've practiced. So think about that. Every conversation should be scripted. Now, I think that you should have a baseline of the scripts and dialogues, and you should have practiced them so you're not thrown off. And I think that conversations can initially be scripted by asking questions and assuming the answers are all pretty much about the same. And they're going to go off in tangents. And how do you bring them back? Well, you bring back those conversations with specific direct questions in order to get those appointments or to get contracts signed. So think about that. All right, when you are practicing and you're getting ready for a game day, I'll use that analogy again, is you've got to eliminate the ego. The ego is so detrimental to every real estate agent's career because we've done this for years. And I was practicing scripts 2 weeks ago in order to get better at some objections that I knew were coming down the pipeline. So right now I need listings. We need to lower the price on one listing for sure, and potentially the other one. We just had a showing today on one. But those pricing strategy conversations, when we have to lower the price, we've got to be ready for the objections that come with that, right? Because the sellers still believe in the price. So think about that. We have to eliminate our ego. So if we practice those scripts and dialogues and the presentation of that, we're going to get better. We're not going to get thrown off, and we're going to be prepared for anything that gets thrown our way. So think about that. All right, so the pros operate from controlled emotions, and they're controlling the emotions by keeping them within the lines. So I'll do this often because it's an emotional business. And we have a lot of highs and lows as real estate professionals in this business. And if we don't control those emotions, we're just going to be thrown completely off. And we're not going to be as effective for our clients. We're not going to be as effective in our business of making proper decisions. So think about that. How do I control my emotions? If I have a bad day, okay, well, I got to throw that out the window and forget about it because I have to go to work, right? I've got to have more conversations in order to help more people buy and sell real estate. And I can't let my personal emotions get in the way of doing my job for them, not necessarily for me, but for them. They deserve that, right? Especially if they hired us to do a great job for them. All right. The pros also are very curious and they ask a lot of questions. Every single time when I was coaching little leaguers or Pop Warner kids, and same thing with real estate agents, the people that are asking the questions are the people that are trying to get better. They're not just sitting there observing and trying to absorb some of those by not engaging. So the more people ask questions, the better they will become. So think about that as you're taking notes on this. What's the difference between making a lot of money and making a fortune? Well, being curious and asking questions allows you that opportunity to make a fortune. It's that 1% better times 15 questions, right? It's going to be 15% better versus 1. So think about that. The next thing, a professional in sports, a professional in real estate has the intention of listening and documenting and implementing so they can get better. That is a huge aha for a lot of people there. And I think that when you look at professional sports, there's a lot of analogies between sports and real estate, is when you're coaching somebody and they're like, yep, I'm going to implement that right now. And what do you think if I did this? And there's that dialogue so they can visualize it and implement it and just see if it'll work. That right there is a professional that's going to get better no matter what. The person that's like, okay, yeah, I'll try that, or yeah, maybe I'll try that next year, they're losing out, right? They're not going to try it for 6 months or next year, and they could have already failed 15 times and succeeded that one time that made the difference. So think about that. All right. What else did I write down? I wrote down never allow, a professional will never allow rejection to affect their results. Okay, think about that. If you're charging towards the end zone and you get tackled, you're going to get up and go again. You want that ball again so you can hit that touchdown, right? You can make that touchdown. As a real estate agent, if you're calling expireds, I'm going to use that as an example, or you're calling sphere of influence, and somebody says, no, not right now, maybe in a couple of years, I'll buy and sell. You call the next one, nope, I don't want to use you. Next one, whatever the case may be, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 calls, and they all rejected you for some reason. Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop and allow that to stop you from achieving your financial goal? Then if you are, you don't want it as bad as you think you do. And so I'd reevaluate those goals. And I think that's something that really, if you can learn anything from this, is analyze what stops you. Next time you get stopped, you get frustrated and those emotions come in, if you stop, I want you to write that down. I want you to write down why you stopped and why you think you stopped. And let's work on that. That's a huge piece for a lot of you out there. All right. The other piece of it, the last thing I want to talk about, is a professional does not allow negativity to affect their day. Okay? You're allowed 5 minutes. Whatever happens, whatever bad stuff happens throughout the day in your business, your personal life, you're allowed 5 minutes, then you got to get back and get going again. The reason being, if we can hold ourselves accountable to our goals, to our financial goals, to the commitment that we made, then everything else is going to work out, right? Let's just say you got fired from listing. Let's say a buyer fired you and you kept prospecting and you all of a sudden got a better client that's double the price range. Well, if you would have stopped, you never would have got that client that's at double the price range and is so easy to deal with, that's appreciative, that loves the service that you're providing. but you could be stuck over here dealing with the loss of that client. So in that example, don't stop. Go find the people that deserve you, and you deserve the people that want to work with you, that are going to make your life a lot better. So think about that. All right, thanks for watching this channel. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe, send this to a friend if you found value in this, and thanks for watching my channel.